Men's Health Awareness Month is dedicated to bringing awareness to a wide range of men's health issues. As we focus on men this month, we can't ignore that men tend to be more reluctant to seek help or treatment for their mental health struggles. Daniel Howell, who is here with us today, is an entertainer and a strong advocate for mental health. Last year, he published a bestseller called You Will Get Through This Night, which keys in on how to take control of your mental health even on days when all hope seems lost. In addition to that, he is currently traveling across the United States for his solo comedy tour, We're All Doomed, which uses humor to explore worldly issues that we face today and to find the courage to persevere. Dan is here with us to speak on mental health and how he hopes his comedy tour can make an impact for those who are struggling. Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
Hi, I am doing great considering that we're all doomed. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your tour. So your
Mm,
tour is a comedy tour, but it also includes some very rare, raw and emotional moments, which someone might not expect when they see a comedy show. So I was just
mm.
wondering how, as an entertainer, did you make the decision to include these moments of honesty in your show?
When I first started doing comedy, it was, your regular, relatable, observational stuff. And then one day I started to really struggle to even write and perform because I was dealing with some quite severe depression at the time. And I figured I just needed to open up about it. And so I, for the first time, spoke about my struggles with mental health. And what people told me was not only was it so refreshing and important for people to hear themselves represented in someone else's story, but it was funnier because what I was saying was coming from a realer and a rawer place. And to me, that was this green light that I think, people talk about the relationship between comedy and tragedy. Sometimes you cry so hard you laugh, sometimes you laugh so hard you cry. I feel like these things are quite related. And I think the more vulnerable you're being on stage, the more funnier what you're talking about is. And that is definitely why when I came up with this show that I'm doing now, I thought, hey, I want to do a show about all the worst things in the world because I think everyone watching can agree that we're certainly living in some interesting times and there's a lot to feel stressed about. But if you just put all of that on the table and actually be honest about how you feel about it, not only will it just be a good laugh, which we all need to do, but you might actually feel better about it afterwards, which is quite cathartic.
So you've always maintained a real authenticity throughout your content and on YouTube just by sharing the parts of your mental health journey that aren't always perfect. So would you
Mm.
say that having these discussions and opening up has made it easier to overcome the bad days? And do you feel stronger because of your openness?
Absolutely. And I think the problem with all of humanity, particularly with men, which is what we're talking about this month, is that when you keep things inside, they bubble up. You like to think that you can sit in all your problems, whether it's stress or anxiety, or you feel you might be dealing with depression. But these things, they just rise under the surface until one day it pops, and that is not healthy. So the more that you are open and honest about it, it just feels immediately so freeing. And then you can just get on with your life. And it brings you closer to people around you. For other people that might be struggling in silence, it's so important to just see one other person admit, hey, I feel exactly the same way. And that is why it's so important.
So as you're traveling around on your tour, what is the overall takeaway that you would like people to take away from your performances when they go to see you?
That we can't give up no matter how hard it gets. And it seems like it can be very hard. You look at everything that's going on in the news and you're like, wow, this does not look good for the future. But I think we have no choice but to somehow be hopeful. So if they want to come and then just have a good night laughing very inappropriately at literally all of the reasons why humanity might be hurtling towards a cliff, who knows? Maybe we'll actually find some reasons to be hopeful for the future. And at the very least, we'll have had one good night before we all go up in flames.
So is there a message that you would like to leave with your fans? What would that be?
It would be that you are probably not alone in anything that you're struggling with, and that you shouldn't have to stay in silence because just talking to one person, letting that door open, being honest with yourself. A lot of people feel like it's a bad kind of vulnerability to tell people how you're feeling when you're feeling bad, but I think it's the complete opposite. I think that it actually shows an incredible amount of courage and bravery. It shows a lot of strength to be able to open up and admit that you feel bad and that you might need help. And that is just the first step towards your life being better. So everyone should go for it, even if it's cracking some inappropriate jokes.
Well, thank you so much for being here today and for all these insightful answers. Are you performing tonight?
I am performing at the Chicago Theatre tonight, which is very exciting. Might throw in a couple of jazz hands in the middle of a joke. We'll see what happens.
Well, that is very exciting. I really wish you the best on your show tonight.